We're fighting for God's word. We're not fighting for our rights or anything. We're fighting for God.
These students are breaking the rules to take their faith to the football field.
You've got one more chance to see Endeavor take flight. Find out when and where.
Right in front of teachers, just popping pills.
She went undercover in school. Hear from a police officer who spent months posing as a student to catch drug dealers.
This is KHOU 11 News.
Standing for Houston. KHOU 11 News at 10 starts now.
We are on the scene of a major immigration bust tonight. 85 men, women, and children were found in a single home in West Harris County.
Our Drew Caritas is there, and Drew, in these conditions, this almost sounds like it turned into a rescue operation. How long have these people been there?
Well, Greg, less than a week from what we're told. When agents barged into this house down there that is no more than 3 bedrooms, they were expecting to find illegal immigrants, but the number of people that were huddled inside stunned even seasoned investigators. Tears welling up in their eyes, their future remains uncertain. Immigration and Customs Enforcement took dozens of suspected illegal immigrants into custody after a tip led agents to this single-story house.
They're distraught, but they're hungry. I can't believe that all these people are in one house.
Lining the street in droves, neighbors watched in shock and horror to see the condition that many of these people were in. The authorities involved in the raid say the at least 16 women, 9 juveniles, and 60 men found in this home were in dire straits.
When you go into a house like this where all the individuals are in their underwear, no one has shoes, no one has clothes, and that many people are in one particular residence of that size, yes, it is pretty shocking.
One by one, they were taken outside, patted down, and seated for transportation. ICE detained enough people to fill an entire bus and several vans.
It's horrible. I feel for them completely. You have no idea what they were going through to make them to get here, or if they were dragged here.
Investigators aren't sure how they got here or where they came from. Neighbors say they recently moved into the neighborhood.
One of the neighbors told me that they only moved in there about 3 days ago. That house was for lease, and the grass needed to be mowed.
Well, many people in this community are taken aback by just how many people were hiding in this home. Many acknowledge the bigger picture that brought them here.
And I know a lot of them just probably want a better life, and tried to come over here, and they get used.
And everybody taken from this home was transported to an ICE detention facility where they will undergo medical screening and the interview process. I'm told investigators are just beginning to round up all of the information here, but we can tell you that it was a mother who led them here when she told them that her teenage daughter was being held for ransom. We are live in West Harris County. Drew Caritas, KHOU 11 News.
Another person has died of West Nile, this time in Montgomery County. Officials aren't saying much, just that the person already had health problems, which is frequently the case for people who succumb to the disease. 4 people in Houston have also died from the virus.
It was no ordinary purse snatching today at a Southwest Houston gas station. The bag the thief grabbed belongs to an FBI agent, and it had her gun and badge inside. It happened as she gassed up at an Exxon on Beechnut near Beltway 8. A man stole the purse from her front seat, then jumped into a waiting SUV and got away. Investigators are now worried about just who has their hands on that gun and badge.
The Space Shuttle Endeavor is spending the night here in Houston on its way to a California museum.
Its flight into Space City had a lot of you looking to the sky this morning.
The shuttle spent 90 minutes flying low over local landmarks before finally landing at Ellington Airport.
Rex Russell is there tonight, and Rex, a lot of folks wanted that close-up look.
Oh boy, did they ever. You want proof? Just take a look behind me. This is quite the show here on the ground, but I got to tell you, it was preceded by a fantastic flight over Houston.
It wasn't an everyday sight and far from your typical afternoon view.
It's just the thrill of seeing, the fastest vehicle there is in the world, and it's just very exciting.
This is my first opportunity. I'm from Iowa, so we never had a chance to see anything like this. Awesome.
Space Shuttle Endeavor's touchdown at Ellington Field was preceded by a dramatic flyover, giving Houstonians the chance to snap pictures of history in motion.
It's exciting. I mean, I've never seen it. I've seen it only on
TV. Endeavour will eventually wind up at a museum in California, but before traveling across country, it flew nearly 123 million miles in space.
It's pretty amazing.
Astronaut Gregory Chamatov, who spent time on the International Space Station, was one of the fortunate few to catch a ride.
That was my ride home to see my family again, so it was this very emotional attachment I have to this machine.
That attachment not unique to just astronauts.
The wing leading edges.
A retired NASA researcher and his wife feel it too. Dave Giannatino helped to design the shuttle's heat tiles.
How does it feel? Oh, like I say, it's nostalgic. We're sorry to see it go.
It's the end of an era,
But nowhere near the end of the journey, not with future astronauts already in the waiting.
And I want to go to the moon too, to see everything.
And to embark on a new endeavor, just as the old one bids farewell.
And that farewell trip to California will get underway in the morning at sunrise. It'll be Endeavor's final flight, and bittersweet to a lot of folks out here today who just don't want to see her go. We're live at Ellington Field. Rux Russell, KHOU 11 News.
Bittersweet is right. Endeavor's flight did hit a little speed bump, so to speak, after it landed at Ellington. The shuttle had a Texas flag flying, which was a nice gesture, except, as some of you noticed, the flag was upside down. The white stripe goes on top. We're told it was fixed before Endeavor got close to the crowds.
Well, if you didn't get a chance to see the shuttle today, you'll have one more chance tomorrow. As we heard from Rux, Endeavor is scheduled to take off at sunrise, fly over Johnson Space Center, then over downtown and across West Houston as it makes its way to California.
All right, the weather will be cooler tomorrow morning than it was today, but Gene, will we still have some clear skies for a nice viewing of the shuttle?
We absolutely will. Sunrise is just after 7 a.m. You might need a jacket if you're trying to get up early to watch that. Right now, temperatures are almost 5 to 10 degrees cooler than they were last night at this time. 71 in the Gulf Crest neighborhood near Hobby Airport, 69 Spring Branch. So how cool by morning? How about 50s? Conroe, Tomball, Humble. The kids might need a jacket at the bus stop. 61 downtown Houston, 63 Pasadena, 64 Texas City, 72 down on Galveston Island. So no weather worries for that last peak at the shuttle. And we say farewell.
Yeah, and for our weather, it just keeps getting better.
It sure does. I'll have more on that in just a few minutes.
We'll see you then. Thanks.
Okay.
A man with a gun has parents and students on edge in Kingwood tonight. He shot at a group of kids yesterday behind Creekwood Middle School while the kids were walking home from class. Students believe it was a BB gun or pellet rifle that he fired. HPD has increased patrols around the school. They also have a picture someone took of the man, but they're not releasing it right now, and the description of the suspect is very vague.
A mother whose baby was shot to death in Northwest Houston returned to the scene of the crime today. The mom and her daughter were in a car about to visit relatives last month when two men ran up and opened fire. Police believe the men were burglars who had been chased away earlier that night, then came back and started shooting. One bullet hit and killed an 11-month-old girl named Forever. Today, her mother asked for someone to lead police to the killers.
My baby didn't even get a chance to see her first birthday, her first Halloween, or her first Christmas. And I just want justice to be brought to my baby.
A $2,000 reward is being offered for information leading to an arrest in this case.
Now to the big stir in a small Texas town over faith and football.
The controversy began when high school cheerleaders made some signs quoting scripture.
Kevin Reese is in Coons, north of Beaumont, with the story. Kevin?
And this is just an example of what you'll find in Coons, Texas tonight, a business squarely putting its support behind the students and their fight for freedom of religion and freedom of speech. But at a school closer to Houston, the Supreme Court has already ruled that even in Texas, that religion and football don't always legally mix. The mix of religion and football in Coons, Texas is as old as the aging water tower at the heart of town. But this new run-through banner on a recent Friday night has lawyers fighting over the religion of Texas football again. This year, Coons High School cheerleaders thought their Bible-themed banners would inspire their team.
It means I'm playing for the Lord Jesus God and my teammates.
But when someone complained, the school superintendent asked for legal advice.
Bow our heads and give thanks to the Lord.
He got it from a precedent-setting case closer to Houston. The U.S. Supreme Court ruling that barred Santa Fe, Texas Independent School District from student-led prayers at public school games.
My personal convictions are that I am a Christian as well, Superintendent Kevin Weldon told us in a phone interview. But I'm also a state employee and Kountze ISD representative, and I was advised that such a practice would be in direct violation of United States Supreme Court decisions. Now the cheerleaders can't hold these banners anymore.
The one parent that did complain, it's just one, if you don't like it, don't come to our games.
But more people might be at their next game. A Facebook group formed to support the students now has more than 30,000 worldwide members. Students showed up last night at a volleyball game with more Bible-themed signs, and today they made more, promising to wave them from the sidelines if they aren't allowed to carry them on the field.
We're trying to fight it, but we're not doing that for publicity or anything. We're fighting for God's word. We're not fighting for our rights or anything. We're fighting for God.
It makes me very proud of all these girls. It just makes my heart. Not only for my own that I've raised her right, but that these other kids have been raised right too. And our community has raised these kids with such strong values that they're willing to fight for it.
Now, the students are allowed to have whatever banners they want if they're in the stands, just not as school representatives on the football field. Meanwhile, their next football game is September 28th at Hardin High School, and some of the students at that school have said they'll be ready with their own Christian-themed banners as well. Live tonight in Kountze, Texas, I'm Kevin Reese, KHOU 11 News.
Another problem at another school forced police to send in an undercover officer.
Some kids I know were experimenting with cocaine also.
Hear from the woman who spent almost 2 years living as a student to bust drug dealers.
We'll explain why this haunted house is being shut down by TxDOT, of all things.
And babies versus burglars, how these cute pictures are supposed to cut down on crime.
And now we want to take you inside the life of an undercover police officer who spent months posing as a high school student.
Her investigation uncovered widespread drug use and sales at an area middle and high school.
Our Larry Seward has details in another story you'll see only on 11 News.
Cleveland, January 31st. Ambulances rushed 8 high school students to hospitals, another 8 treated at school, all because of prescription pills popped on campus. This officer was there, undercover as a student, and for the first time, she's talking about what she saw.
There were several kids in my classes, passing the pills and selling them, giving them to each other. Whenever they had to consume them, they were just falling down the stairs, falling out of their seats.
We're protecting her identity, so we'll call her Peggy. For nearly 2 years, she pretended to be a kid at Cleveland ISD to catch drug dealers.
We were trying to find out who was the one that was giving them out and who else had taken them.
At the middle school, Peggy found marijuana and more.
It was very prevalent. Some kids I know were experimenting with cocaine also.
In high school, prescription pills were far more common.
They would have them in their pockets, in their backpacks. They would pass them around like it was candy. It included everyone, athletes, kids with good grades, kids with bad grades. I would see more kids, in the hallways, right in front of teachers on the water fountain, just popping pills. Their eyes were red. It was crazy to me.
Peggy's work led to 13 arrests, cases she insists could not be made any other way.
It's a way of actually catching the person that is providing to them.
But her method is not welcome everywhere. Some people believe having undercover officers in schools invades privacy.
It's unfortunate that, our present times have led us to that.
They're there to protect them, and they're good officers. What's the big deal,
If you have drugs in your school at all, you have a problem. So for anyone to sit and put their head in the sand and say we don't have a drug problem, they're foolish.
Jerry Kroll is principal at Angleton High School and a strong supporter of undercover work in schools. An undercover sting caught 14 of his students with prescription drugs earlier this year. He sees things changing.
I think that we're always, unfortunately, going to have that percentage of population that are going to thumb their noses at whatever we do and dare us to catch them. And in the words of our police chief, if I don't catch you today, I'm going to catch you tomorrow.
Peggy just wants people to be aware. It's the only reason this undercover officer is sharing her story.
The community needs to know and needs to do something about it. They can't just turn around, turn their backs to it, and pretend like everything's fine.
In the Houston area, only Cleveland and Angleton have used undercovers recently. Some districts think it's too hard for an adult to slip in unnoticed and be effective. Others say having undercovers is just an unacceptable liability. Larry Seward, KHOU 11 News.
Many school district police chiefs say the biggest problem continues to be prescription pills because kids think if the drug is safe for someone else to take, it is also safe for them.
This will be the last Halloween for one of Houston's oldest haunted houses, at least at its current location. Phobia sits along Highway 290 between Jones Road and West Road. The state says it has to go to make way for a freeway expansion project. Phobia's owner says he understands. He just wishes the state would hurry up and buy his land.
We've been in discussions with this for months now, for years, and now the project is moving forward, and it's time to get rolling because I need to relocate. It takes us so long to build this Scream Park out.
And here's a scary thought for drivers. The 290 project will kick into high gear next year, which will probably mean a lot of traffic jams.
Well, some good news, Trader Joe's fans. The specialty grocery store is opening its first Houston location inside the old Alabama Theater at West Alabama and Shepherd. Doors open at 8 a.m. on Friday.
Hope they're selling some allergy medication because the ragweed is making a run out there despite all of our great weather here, Gene.
Yeah, that's the one problem that we have. So let's talk about it first and let you know that it's not going to get any better anytime soon because we really need some rain to wash that ragweed out of the air. Pollen count today in the low range, but ragweed heavy and mold spores medium. And this really won't change very much over the next couple of days, unfortunately, because despite the beautiful weather, that is the really one concern that we have. It looks great outside right now, and it's almost 5 to 8 degrees cooler than it was at this time last night. 72 downtown. The humidity is only 55%. Look at the dew point. That's the big difference. Last night, dew points were still in the low 70s, now in the 50s. That's the drier feel that you'll notice, and that's one of the reasons why temperatures will drop overnight very, very quickly. Right now, it's already 60 degrees in Livingston on our WeatherBug network, 68 in the Woodlands, 65 in Alvin, 69 in Columbus. So good to see a lot of 60s already starting to show up. 71 Sugar Land and 74 down on Galveston Island. So to start today, 61 dry. Your TrueView forecast shows blue skies as we bid the shuttle farewell. By noon, mild, temperatures 82, and we'll top out around 87 for a high tomorrow. Warm with lots of sunshine and no weather worries. High pressure in control of our weather, giving us a light northeast wind today. Over the next couple of days, the high moves away. We'll start to see southeast winds, a couple of clouds by Friday, but no real chance of rain. In fact, across the country, there isn't a whole lot going on except for these showers here in the northern Great Lakes. And as you can see, clear skies from Houston all the way to California as Endeavor heads in that direction. Also watching this swirl of clouds out here in the middle of the Atlantic. The Hurricane Center says there's a 40% chance that this could develop. And this swirl over here, this is Tropical Storm Nadine, still affecting the Azores. So hurricane season beginning to wind down out in the Atlantic. Well, let's check out weather where you live. In the morning, temperatures north of town could be a little bit chilly. Temperatures falling into the 50s, 54 Conroe, 56 Navasota. So dry, sunny. It'll just be a brief chill, though, because by the time we get to the afternoon, we'll warm up very, very nicely. A terrific Thursday on tap for us. 85 for a high in Livingston, 87 in Hempstead. From Houston down toward the coast, there may be a little bit of patchy fog in places like Angleton, very shallow ground fog, but otherwise 61 there, 60 Sugar Land, 61 downtown Houston. So a mild start to the day, and again, very, very dry. We'll warm up nicely, though. We'll see those temperatures climb into the upper 80s. The challenge is with the bright sunshine and the light winds, we're also concerned about unhealthy amounts of ground level ozone that may develop. And again, that's a lung irritant that mainly affects people with respiratory illnesses. So watch out toward the end of the afternoon. We'll be tracking that during the day tomorrow to let you know if it becomes out of bounds. But despite those issues, I'm still going to rate tomorrow a 10 on the Norman number scale. You can follow it on Twitter or my Facebook fan page. And the 7-day forecast shows great weather heading toward the end of the week. Saturday, by the way, is the first official day of fall. It'll be a little bit warmer and we may see a few more clouds, but otherwise we're going to to stay dry right through the beginning of next week. So plenty of sunshine and just a couple of fair weather clouds as we head into the early part of next week. So warming up gradually, but tomorrow morning is going to be delightful. We've been waiting for this cool down, and it is here.
Feels great.
It
so
sure does.
beautiful today.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gene.
Okay.
We've been seeing some violent protest against an anti-Islam film. How a French magazine, though, may be throwing gasoline on the fire.
And it's an odd experiment, how London is trying to fight crime using baby faces.
A French magazine has stirred up a cartoon controversy after it published several drawings of the Prophet Muhammad. Some of the pictures depict Muhammad in the nude. The newspaper offices were firebombed last year after it published similar drawings. While French leaders are defending the newspaper's right to publish, they're also blasting it for doing so while violent protests against an anti-Islam film rage around the world. France has stepped up security at its embassies and sent police to guard the magazine's offices.
Store owners in London hope baby faces will cut down on crime. It's a unique experiment to see if criminals will think of their children and families and not do damage. And there's research to back it all up. Doctors at the University of Pennsylvania found big eyes and chubby cheeks trigger a caring response in the brain. The company behind the London project will monitor crime stats for a year to see if it works.
We'll hold up some baby faces for Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos, see if that works too. Gary Kubiak is taking his Texans to a place he used to call home, Denver. Butch has that story next.
And it's a love story at City Hall, how a shelter dog won the mayor's heart.
Hello again, I'm Butch Alcindor. Well, Texans coach Gary Kubiak feels at home in Denver, but Sunday's game against the Broncos will be a business trip. Kubiak spent the better part of 18 years as a player and a coach with those Broncos, so he has lots of ties in Denver, but this week, it's all about winning a football game.
I know where the stadium is, and I know the streets and all that good stuff. But you know, it's a game, and we got to get ready to play. And the biggest challenge, they were asking me that today. I said, man, I'm worried about who we're playing. You know, not where we're playing.
J.J. Watt was named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. He had 1.5 sacks, recovered a fumble, and deflected 2 passes in the victory over Jacksonville.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I was delivering pizzas 4 or 5 years ago, and now I get awards like this. It's unbelievable to me. To me, it's very cool for my high school coach, for my mom and my dad, and for everybody who helped me and who was there for the times that I wasn't the AFC Defensive Player of the Week.
Well, if you live in Spring, I will be in your neighborhood tomorrow at 6. We will be broadcasting live from George Stadium. It's the site of our big game between Spring and Klein Collins. The Tigers are ranked 8th in the area, and Daniel Gotera tells us why.
For a while, the Klein Collins Tigers flew under the radar. Now they're the ones in the spotlight.
Oh, it's awesome. Just all the hype that we get.
Klein Collins was coming off a disappointing 1-9 season in 2007. The Tigers have completely turned it around, going 37-8 with 3 postseason appearances since.
In no way does it mean that this year's team is going to be able to ride the wave of previous years' teams.
When we win, everyone's on our side. When we lose, it's it's the end of the world. There's a reputation of knowing how the success we've had over the years and the feats we've been able to accomplish.
But a growing program needs a good foundation, and the players say they get their direction from the head coach, who has been characterized in several different ways.
Coach Sabota is truly the enforcer. Left hand. He's something serious, and what he's done for this program has been amazing.
I just go about my business like hopefully they would, with the mindset that every day we're going to continue to get better.
Whatever they're doing, it seems to be working.
There we go, JP!
At Klein Collins High School, Daniel Gotera, KHOU 11 Sports.
That's one fired up coach. Well, the Dynamo is hosting Foss in a Champions League game tomorrow night at BBVA Compass Stadium. Right now they are tied for first place in Group 3.
I mean, this is going to be easy. We have to put a lot into the game, especially from the first minute.
You know, with only 3 teams in the group, you know, and now we've played both of them already, we kind of know what to expect. We've seen them before. We're happy that we're at home. We're comfortable at home.
And the Cardinals shut out the Astros 5-0 tonight in St. Louis.
What?
Thanks, Butch.
Coming up next, see how one little dog managed to melt Mayor Parker's heart.
Take KHOU 11 News with you wherever you go. Download the KHOU 11 app today.
One lucky pooch has a new home after charming Mayor Parker.
It happened during a photo shoot a couple weeks ago to promote an adopt-a-pet program at Bark. The dog just couldn't stop kissing the mayor and a cat.
And it seems the mayor couldn't help but fall in love. She ended up adopting this little guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
kudos to the mayor adopting a shelter animal. Yeah.
We got to figure out what the mayor's going to name the dog.
That's right.
She needs to let us know.
Up to date on that. Thanks for staying with us, everybody.
Oh, and don't forget, our shuttle Endeavor coverage continues on KHOU 11 News this morning, starting at 4:30 in the morning. The Late Show is coming up next. We'll see you tomorrow.
KHOU 11 is a part of Belo.